All right, we're good.
All right, great.
Very nice to
Uh,
meet you, Robert.
Nice to meet you, my friend. I wanted to thank you for taking time to speak with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk with anyone that I can about the band and about this album that we just put out yesterday.
And how did the recording process go for you this time around?
Oh, well, it was interesting. We stepped it up a little bit from last time. I don't know if you're familiar with our previous album. It's called
Yes.
Offering. So both of the albums, Offering and this new one, Divergence, were engineered by this guy named Jacob Saint Ahmad, and he's actually our bass player now. Our bass player left about a year ago, and Jacob was the first person we called because we had already worked with him, and
Mhm.
he was already kind of like the sixth member of the band, you know. So he agreed to play bass, but he also produced and engineered the new album Divergence. Um, so the recording process it was cool. We stepped it up a little bit. We rented a drum room at this place called the Band Cave in Denver, Colorado, which is where we're located out of. And the Band Cave was really cool. It was like pretty affordable. We rented it for 3 days and we had access to all their mics and preamps. And they had like this like treated drum room that just like acoustically sounded awesome. I think we had maybe like 22 channels just on the drums. So we started off with just like a really good drum production, and then we tracked the rest in his home studio, and then we sent the entire project off to this guy named Zach Oren, who lives out of Oakland. He's done a lot of like metal and punk records, but he mixed and mastered the project, and we're like just super happy with how it came out.
And I wanted to ask you about two of my favorite tracks, one of them being Fallen Kings and Queens. I
Oh
wanted to ask
yes,
if you could speak on that track.
I would love to because it's a very personal song for myself and a lot of people I know in the Denver community. I'm glad you like that song. Um, it's basically a tribute to some of our artist friends in the Denver community that have passed away in recent years. And the concept of the song was to have three verses, each verse for a person, for an artist that has passed on recently. um so it's very personal in that way, but also I feel like lyrically we left it like vague enough to where any listener could apply that meaning to their own life and to their own friends and family members that have passed away, and it's meant to serve as just maybe like a small bit of solace for anyone going through a difficult time.
And Nothing Left to Lose was another one of my favorite
Yeah.
tracks on the album.
Oh, sweet.
And I just feel that both of them songs really resonated well and give a great showing of the band.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Nothing Left to Lose came out really cool. That was actually the last song that we wrote for the record. I think I wrote a total of 10 songs for the album, and we wound up cutting two of them. And Nothing Left to Lose was like the last song that we wrote that made it onto the album. So it wasn't like a last minute song, but it was the one that we completed like at just we were up to the wire, with our
Right.
deadlines, and we finished it just like barely in time. But I'm glad you dig that song. I think it came out really cool. It's a little more like on the punk hardcore side, which is fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you as well, um, if you could speak on the album artwork and the artist that was involved in it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was done by an artist in Denver. His name is Jeff Kopp. He's a tattoo artist. He works at this place called Little Black Church in Denver. He's a killer artist. He's been tattooing for like 30 years or something. He's kind of world renowned for his portrait work. He can tattoo these portraits like from a picture, and it will literally look like a photograph on your skin.
Wow.
It's like super impressive. I've been tattooed by him. I play music with lots of people that have been tattooed by him. But he did a really good job on the artwork. We didn't give him like a ton of direction. We we told him we wanted to capture kind of an 80s vibe, and use like the Greek god Pan, which is sort of like the band's mascot.
Mhm.
Pan is kind of on a lot of our like merch designs, and album covers and stuff. He's kind of the perfect like mascot for the band. Um, so we kind of gave him those basic concepts, and he just rolled with it. And what he came up with was, if you've seen it, it's just this like kind of like desolate like wasteland.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to ask you, can you take me back to the beginning? How did the band become a reality?
Oh yeah. Well, let's start all the way at the beginning. We formed in 2016, but we had all played music with each other like previous to that, right? We had all been in different types of bands together. Uh and we decided we wanted to do a band that was really focused on like the musicality, and make a band that was just very musical. All our previous bands were like way more brutal. We were trying to be like the heaviest band and be super
Mm,
fast and super technical. And we kind of had already gotten all that stuff out of our system. So by the time we moved on to Nightwraith, we wanted to just really focus on arranging like really well thought out songs, and just make it as musical as possible, and kind of showcase our different musical diversity, because we all have like different backgrounds. We range in age and background. So like our lead guitarist, for example, grew up in Venezuela. He's an older dude, and he kind of grew up in like the Latin pop jazz scene in South America, and that's like kind of his background. So we're kind of like all over the place, and we wanted to just like pull in all of our different influences, and make this kind of like musical amalgamation. And that's kind of how things started.
I wanted to ask you as well. How did it start for you? At what age did you begin?
Oh man, well, I feel like when I was 12 or 13, I started hearing alternative bands, in the 90s, uh, like Smashing Pumpkins and
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana and like Alice in Chains and stuff. And I was just like, man, this is like the coolest thing ever. And I knew I just wanted to be a part of that world in some way. So I started taking guitar lessons. I started my first band when I was 14 with some buddies. I think we were just doing like Rage Against the Machine covers, just kind of like building up our chops. And then I think the first show I played was with my punk band at the time. I was probably like 15, and started hanging out with these punk rock kids. And I just really like gravitated towards that community, because they were so accepting to like all walks of life. And that was like very attractive to me, because I was like in high school at the time in the 90s, where like everything was just super intolerant,
Sure.
and hanging out with these like older cool like punk rock people. They were just like all about just like tolerance and acceptance, um and and just like bettering the community. I think the first show we played was like a benefit for the ARA, which is the anti-racist action chapter in Denver. And it was like a benefit show for that, and I was just like, man, this is so cool. We're doing something that's cool and fun, and like against like the mainstream counterculture, but it's still like offering this like positivity,
Sure.
back into the community, and like helping like lift other people up. And I was just very attracted to that, and I pretty much never looked back after that.
And as far as your musical journey, what do you feel has been the best advice that has been given to you along the way?
Oh man, geez, that's a good question. Advice. I feel like I had a lot of like discouragement along the way, trying to like get started and kind of get my name out there. I think as far as advice goes, there were older musicians in Denver that I really looked up to, that would kind of offer tidbits of advice along the way, just on how they did it, on how they were able to kind of like lift their bands up, and break through. I don't know if I have any like specific advice that comes to mind, other than everyone will always tell you, just keep doing it, just stay true to your vision, don't
Right.
worry about what other people think. Like if
Sure.
you like it and it's genuine, then it's going to resonate with people. And
Right.
I guess I've always tried to like stick with that, be like, I'm not trying to like be famous, I'm not trying to like sell like a million records. I'm just trying to make music that I truly believe in.
Sure.
And hopefully like that, um hopefully it's genuine, and that resonates with people, you know.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you as well, what is the best way to get a physical copy of this album or any merchandising that you have?
Oh yeah, well, we run all of our merch on our Bandcamp page. It's nightwraith.bandcamp.com. Anyone who orders on that platform, I will ship it to them personally. We have LPs, CDs, and T-shirts. Aside from that, probably just coming to our shows, obviously, and we have like more shirts and merch designs available at our live shows. But that's definitely the best way to like get a hold of some physical merch.
And speaking of live shows, is there a tour in the works?
Yeah, we're playing a bunch of shows this month to support the album. It's a little more regional, like areas closer to Denver. We're playing all around Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and we're doing that this month. And then there is a West Coast tour in the works for next spring as well. But that's still kind of like being worked on and booked.
And I wanted to ask you as well, as far as your performance, what are some of your tracks that you enjoy playing the most live?
Oh man, well our single Perpetual Night is just like a killer song. We all really love playing it. It's just really driving, you know. It's kind of like we view it as just a very like classic Nightwraith song. And we've actually we added that into our set like almost a year ago. So we've been playing
Wow.
it. But yeah, aside from that, that there's actually a couple songs on the record that we haven't played live yet, and we're going to premiere them during these shows that we're playing this month in September.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to play Divergence, which is the title track,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited to play Fruitless, which is like the first track on the album. We haven't played those live before, so I'm really stoked to bust those out. Um, Also, we've been playing Whispers of Dragonflies at our live shows for the past like maybe 4 months. And that song is just awesome because it's super dynamic. You know, it's got a really soft like clean section in the middle, which is like it's really fun to play with dynamics and just like pull everything down. You know, I think a lot of people don't really expect that at a death metal show for things to just come way down
Sure.
for a long period of time. Yeah.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you if you could give a message to your fans, what would that message be?
Oh, that's a great question too. I love all your questions today, Robert.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I would maybe I would pass on some of that advice that was given to me and just say, like, don't worry about the things that are happening around you. Sometimes it seems like the world is falling apart around you, like just all the political division and everything happening
Sure.
right now in this country. Like, don't worry about that. Just stay true to like what you're doing. Just believe in yourself, and just focus on making yourself a better person, and making the world around you a better place in any way that you can. And don't worry about all this bullshit that's happening around us. Just like focus on like living the best life that you possibly can, and set a good example, right? I mean, like people around you will pick up on that,
Sure.
and the hope is that you can influence other people in a positive way, and just do your part to make the world just like a little bit better, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's things around us going on that, as much dismay as we may have in it, we're not at liberty to make them changes, but we can at least start at a smaller level.
Yeah, just doing anything that you can, like at your own level and at your own capacity. Just try
Sure.
to like spread positivity and make the world a better place. Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to thank you, my friend, for taking time to speak with me. I enjoyed the album
Absolutely.
from top to bottom. It's a great album, and I think
Thank you
you have
so
great
much.
things looking ahead for you. I hope to see you come to Ohio. I'd love to see you here.
Oh yeah. We hope to make our way out to the Midwest at some point, hopefully next year, and you'll be one of the first to know when we book some stuff out there. Where in Ohio are you located?
I'm located in Massillon, Ohio. I'm between the Football Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of
Oh
Fame.
yeah, right on. Awesome, awesome. Well, we definitely hope to be down there at some point. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day as well, Robert. It's really great talking to you.
Thank you, my friend. You have a great rest of your day.
Oh, absolutely. You too. Cheers.
Cheers.